Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this series on A Course in Miracles. I'm Tomas Garza, and today we have a really wonderful lesson about personal choice. It is really all about personal choice and election, not an election as in electing officers, but election as in choice, what we can select from just two options when the world appears to present us with many, many millions and billions of options for everything. In truth, the only choice that we have to make is between two options. It's one choice with two possibilities. So when I insist, and I do insist, that spirituality is really simple, that's what we're talking about here. Those two options that we have to choose from in the present moment are love or fear, God or the ego, light or dark. That's the choice that we make. The choice that we make determines how we see things. It determines what we see. It determines what we feel, how we feel. It determines everything about our experience. And yes, that is how powerful mind is. That's how powerful we ultimately are. We make a choice. The world reflects our choice. It shows it right back to us. So when we see beauty, when we see and feel viscerally, feel gut level, feel our limitlessness, it's because we've chosen love. Now, just a couple minutes later, something could befall you that triggers you and sets you off. Happens, doesn't it? That's ultimately here because you've chosen separation, chosen a fear-based thought instead of a loving thought. It really is that simple. And naturally, if you're experiencing some doubt and questioning that statement, good. You should be questioning everything on the spiritual path. Really, I invite and encourage questions at all times, whether you officially write me here or email me with a question or find me on social media and ask me a question or not. I mean, if you do, great. If you don't, I hope that you're questioning in your own mind. And you may have heard me say before, while you're at it, question the foundations of everything that you now believe. Everything that you've been taught by your biology textbook, everything that you've been taught by your parents, by your mom and dad, your teachers, society at large. Anyone who has been in a position of influence for you in your lifetime, question everything. And don't stop short. That's why we suffer, is we stop short. In the language of A Course in Miracles, we hold out certain forms of specialness and we want to keep them. We want to keep a certain sense of separation. In other words, we happily, gleefully forgive some people and not others. Doesn't take a rocket scientist, doesn't take much to see that the world presents us with millions of examples. Your own life will present you with many, many examples of that. All you have to do is look at the news or think about politics. This is 2022. All you have to do is think about COVID-19. All you have to do is think about vaccinations. You'll see that battle lines are easily drawn. They're easily drawn, they're defined, and they're defended. People will defend them to their own detriment, to the death even. Really. we want to keep certain forms of separation for ourselves. Yet we know deep down that in order to have the peace of God, which when we really admit it to ourselves is all we really truly want anyway, in order to have that, we have to let all the crap go. Really, all of it. So we can't retain certain forms of specialness for ourselves. When we forgive, we must forgive totally, completely, everything and everyone. So in talking about today's workbook idea, which is lesson 265, creation's gentleness is all I see. Again, that's lesson 265, creation's gentleness is all I see. I want to call your attention to the very first sentence of the commentary on today's idea, which echoes the theme that we've just been discussing of personal choice. And it reads, I'll just read it to you verbatim, and we'll talk some more about this. Again, the idea, lesson 265 here in the workbook, creation's gentleness is all I see. I have indeed misunderstood the world because I laid my sins on it and saw them looking back at me. Okay, I have indeed misunderstood the world, for I laid my sins on it and saw them looking back at me. I laid my separation thoughts on the world and saw them looking back at me, reflected back. And it's a misunderstanding, isn't it? We've seen throughout these videos that there is no separation of any kind at all, ever. So when we perceive it, we've simply made a mistake. It's not a sin worthy of punishment and death. It's just a mistake, an error. And we invite, in the thought system of A Course in Miracles, we invite Jesus or the Holy Spirit to correct us. It's just an error, a mistake. It's a misperception. When we look upon the world and see struggle and strife and fear and opposition, it's just a mistake. Now, it may seem very real, especially in the moment, but understand that we're looking at changing our minds completely. So in some situations, you may react habitually, but as long as you take a couple of deep breaths after and go back and recognize what's been going on, you can then forgive and release all of that, the situation, the people involved, the behavior, even your own reaction if you need to, right? This is something that can be done pretty quickly after the fact, if not instantaneously. When we look at opposition and strife, it's a misperception. It's a simple mistake. We ask to have our mistakes corrected. Then we allow that correction to take place. And this single sentence, there's more commentary that, of course, I invite you to read. It's not long at this stage in the workbook, which you may find completely beneficial, because by now, 265 lessons in, you will have established some form of a practice that works for you, whatever that looks like. Anyway, that's the premise that Jesus is looking at here. Having come this far, 265 lessons in, you've got some form of practicing and applying the day's idea. So whatever that looks like for you, I invite you to do that. This statement reflects our own power. What we're seeing, supposedly outside of us, is a result of an internal process. It's the result of our choice. Now, I know that doesn't sit well, that things that are happening in life, like political strife, economic insecurities, difficulties, relationship challenges, physical health challenges, right? Maybe you're ill or injured. It doesn't help in the moment to hear somebody say that's the result of our choice to see separation instead of oneness. Yet ultimately, that's what's going on. Now, right now, in the present moment, if you're experiencing a difficulty such as this, physical health difficulty, work or employment, career, financial, right, relationship difficulties, then what you can do in the moment is stop, take a deep breath, lean into your spiritual practice, whatever that is, because everybody needs you at your best. For 13 years of this lifetime, I was involved in very high level and high stakes conflict resolution as a divorce and child custody mediator. And I recall saying thousands of times to parents that grieving parents often pitched in some really nasty legal battles that your kids need you at your best, whatever your best looks like that day, that moment, they need you at your best. So apply that in terms of universal spirituality to the entire world. Everyone that you come into contact with needs you at your best. Now, granted, some days are going to be better than others. Your best one day might be a whole lot better than your best next week if you're sick, or you have an argument, a massive argument, or you get into an auto accident and kind of messes with your day, so to speak. Understand that your best is going to look differently day to day. Yet the choice that we make to forgive, the choice that we make for love over fear is constant. It's always going to present itself. So the world needs you at your best. If all you can do is say, I don't want to feel this way, that is just as miraculous as totally changing the way you feel. It's a statement of volition and intent and will. I mean, if you can't reach for a feeling of bliss or happiness because you're really upset, that's okay. It's okay. You could choose to feel safe and secure because perhaps you are. You could choose to feel relaxed. A successful meditation is as short, it can be really literally as short as one cycle of breath. Inhale, exhale, while paying attention to it and letting it go calms us right down. So the point is not that you've chosen wrongly in the past, because we all have, or we wouldn't be here. I mean, really, we have, or we wouldn't be here. Now, the point is not that that has transpired. The past is gone. All we have is right now. And the point is, we can choose in the present moment to see creation's gentleness. We can choose to see love and abundance. We can choose to see joy and limitlessness. We can choose to see love and forgiveness. It's a choice that we can elect, we can make right now in the present moment. When we perceive things correctly, lovingly, that's what's reflected back at us. Now, those of you who are students of a non-dual tradition may be clamoring to say, well, wait a minute, perception's all an illusion. And yes, it is. Yes, it is. Here in the world, we make full use here of the miracle of forgiveness to help us see things in a different light. Now, incidentally, when we perceive what the Course calls the real world, or the world forgiven, we're reassured constantly, especially in the text of A Course in Miracles, that that doesn't last very long, because that prepares us for what's next. God takes the final step himself, and we're fully awake in him. Now, until we reach that point, we have forgiveness lessons. We have experiences that remind us that our function here is to forgive. It's to look on everything and perceive only creation's gentleness. It's quite as the Day's Idea says, creation's gentleness is all I see, all I see. And it's a choice that we can make right now. So I hope that you make that choice right now. I invite you to make that choice right now. I'm laughing to myself, as I often do, right? So I wanted to say just a minute ago, I want you to make that choice yesterday. Right? In other words, underscoring the urgency, but you can't make that choice or any choice yesterday. It's just right now. So choose to see creation's lovingness. Choose to see creation's gentleness. Make that all that you see. Do that and pay attention to how your day unfolds. Pay special attention to how you feel as you do this. And pay special attention to what transpires, because that will be an indication that you've chosen God, that you've chosen love and forgiveness. So please, please definitely do that today. And thank you for tuning in. I will see you right back here on the next video.